Hello, and welcome to special number 13 season of Yeah, We Read It. I am one of your hosts, Meggie.
And surprise, I'm also one of your hosts. I'm Laura.
And this is Laura's breakup gift to me. We are doing we're doing Twilight this season. I'm probably gonna hee a lot because I am a little lover boy simp. I love this series. I think it's great that it coincided with the release of Taylor Swift's new album too. I have to admit.
This is so tortured department coded.
Yes, I was twirling my hair on the train. I was skipping around New York City. I was like, when is it my turn for Nosferatu?
Nosferatu could never be Edward Cullen because Nosferatu's a real vampire.
He needs to put the notice me in Nosferatu because it starts with N-O. I tried.
Yeah, well, we'll workshop it and we'll come back every episode for the rest of the season because it's all Twilight, baby.
It's all Twilight. I really love this series. Laura is kind of warming up to the series, I would say.
I'm not. Listeners, you need to know I read the first book of this in 8th grade. I was in an honors English class that every quarter you had to do like a separate book report outside of the normal reading. I chose Twilight. It was 2008. Very popular book. Everybody I knew loved it. And I was like, well, I'll read it. Sure, I have a book report to do. And it was one of the most painful books to read and get through because it's 500 pages of poorly written nonsense. And Edward's a stalker. He's creepy as fuck. There's no romance in it to me. And I wrote a book report about how much I hated it. And my mom had bought me both of the books at the same time, the first one and the second one. And I was like, I'm never going to pick the second one up because the first one was so fucking bad. So it's really fun that everything's come full circle and that I'm actually forcing myself to finish this series that I said I never would.
That is a beautiful story for you. I had a different experience. Point of view. Mr. Efting's class, it's history. You are sitting next to Anna Norell. She is the soprano, and she has a voice that when she laughs sounds like a soprano. It's like birds are singing. Her hair smells like strawberries. You don't realize you're gay yet. But this girl whose voice literally just hums, it's like bells in my ear, she tells you about Twilight, and you get really excited and you buy it. You miss the Eclipse book party that they have at Barnes & Noble when they have the midnight book releases. Everyone wore prom dresses. I didn't get to go. I was so sad. But I did go to the Breaking Dawn one. Anyways, I read Twilight. I said, I want my first boyfriend to be Edward Cullen. And then that was the worst relationship of my life. But it was fun sometimes.
Oh, Edward Cullen's not a good partner. And no part of what he's dealing in this book is normal or healthy. So that I guess that would make sense that you kind of found your Edward Cullen.
But like, what is normal and healthy? And maybe Meggie needs a palate cleanser.
I would argue that healthy.
I've done normal and healthy. I want to go back to bad boy. Palate cleanser.
Meggie, I would encourage you to meet in the middle somewhere.
I want a situationship that ruins my life and is also centuries old.
Meggie, as someone who witnessed you also go through a life-ruining situation, I encourage you to not go into that again.
I think we've talked enough about Twilight. We've prefaced it. I think it's time to walk the walk.
So the listeners know where both of us are coming into this season, and it is at opposite of the spectrum. Nobody's willing to budge.
You can't see behind, but I have a chair that I can swing my feet. I can swing around, and I am swinging so much, thinking about how excited I am and how in love I am with Edward Cullen.
Well, before we get into introducing Edward Cullen, we have to start with the intro to Twilight, which is Bella, Swan's mom, is dropping her off at the airport, and Bella is going to live with her dad in Forks, Washington, because her mom's boyfriend is like a minor league baseball player, and he's been touring a lot, and Bella's like, hey, it's going to be easier for you to keep on touring if I just go stay with Charlie for a little bit.
Yeah, Bella is a big martyr. She's got kind of a victim complex, which, I mean...
She so does. Which, like, who doesn't in 2008? Come on.
Oh, yeah, you kind of have to. She is moving from sunny Phoenix to gloomy Forks in Washington State, Why she's chosen to go there, no one really knows, because she hates forks and her relationship with her dad is pretty awkward, but he did buy her a car, which is very sweet of Charlie.
Well, but she's very ungrateful for it. She was like, well, I brought money to buy my own car, but I guess I'll take this truck that you got me that was going to do very well in the winters here.
Yeah, it's like Billy's old car, Billy Black, as we know from La Push, who is one of Charlie Swan's old friends. It's one of his old cars that his son Jacob fixed up, which I think is very sweet. This whole community is coming together for this one girl.
Yeah, like literally how nice for you to show up in a place that you never thought you were going to live and they're like, here's a fucking car. And you're a high school student with no job. Come on.
Yeah, also, I don't know how she saved up money, but kudos to her. Bella's efficient. What can we say? You can't hate on her.
Well, we can, and we will. It is the first day of school, and it is also Bella's first time seeing the Cullen family walking in slow motion in their pale, pale skin. I believe it's Jess. One of the girls tells Bella that all of them are adopted, and there's two couples within this family, and they all just like live together and don't talk to anybody.
Yes, and these are the people that Bella chooses to be infatuated with. Not all of these people who have been pretty nice to her, but whose faces just blur into the background upon seeing the Cullens. Instead, she is fascinated by these pale, quote, inhumanly beautiful, which I don't know how it's not arousing suspicion in anyone that A, they're not eating food, B, they're very pale. Wouldn't administration be like, they're anemic, should we call CPS?
I can only imagine the guidance counselor being like, you guys need to eat at lunch. We're really worried that your gaunt faces and the fact that you don't eat means that you have an eating disorder.
Like, genuinely, wouldn't you call Child Protective Services? Wouldn't you be...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess, can you call Child Protective Services if their dad's the town doctor?
I guess that is true. There is some politics to this town where I guess they overlook things in terms of who holds power, and and Carlisle Cullen, he is like the doctor. That's also hot. They're like, well, he's a hot doctor. What can we do?
Yeah, they're like, we have to do everything to make him happy. We never want him to leave.
Our hands are tied. What can we do?
But also, okay, I have to make this a side note now, because as we know, these 5 teenagers are vampires. But if you were like destined to a life of being a vampire, why would you continually choose to go back to high school and then not even like play a sport or like engage with anyone? They're literally going to high school to like run through the motions of things, and it's like, why wouldn't you just like get a job in town so you could like at least like be busy? Like, this sounds like a horrible life that you've destined yourself to.
That is true. I don't know why. I think I would try all the different colleges too.
Yeah, I would go to college, so I would get so many degrees, and then I'd probably like work as a barista for a long time, because like if you just got like, you know, small jobs here and there, you could work those for like 10 years at least before people are like, it's weird that you're like don't look that much older.
Yeah.
And then you can move on. But like, you put yourself in a place where you have to move every 4 years because you can't just keep being in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's their MO. These sleep-deprived kiddos, so Jessica explains that they've moved from Alaska. They all live in the same house, like, you know, in Sims, kind of, when you add to family. You add someone to family who's your neighbor.
This is just like Sims.
You add them to family to fuck easier. She kind of explains that she's like, yeah, they kind of got a weird dynamic, but they all live together and they're siblings, so sometimes it seems like they're dating, sometimes they're not.
I will say one of my favorite things is like, Bella is so obsessed with the Cullens, but everyone else is like, man, these 5 weirdos that don't talk to anybody. So Bella's infatuation is truly like so isolated. Everyone's like, we don't really get it, but like, you go, girl.
Yeah, it seems like everyone tried to be inclusive to the Cullens, and the Cullens kind of stonewalled everyone. It seems like Jessica has some underlying insecurity because Edward might have rejected her at some point.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people are just like, oh, those are the Cullens. We kind of don't talk to them.
Yeah, because they don't really talk to us. And speaking of not getting talked to, Edward Cullen, the love interest of this book and the only single Cullen, because the other 2 in relationships, is Bella's biology partner, and he does not talk to her a single moment during this class.
No, he doesn't. They sit down in biology class. Edward gets a big old whiff of Bella and just glares at her until he can leave.
Romantic. Wow, so welcoming.
Playing hard to get. What can I say? I'm obsessed.
Playing hard to get or playing I'm going to murder you? We'll never know.
Oh no, the boy with the pitch black eyes is just glaring at me. All of science, I'm interested.
He's glaring at me. He's glaring at me.
Date?
He's glaring at me with his fists clenched for the entire 45-minute period. That's not alarming at all.
The better to show off his forearms with. You ever see veins on his forearms?
He's wearing sleeves. You know very well that man's in a crew neck sweater.
Not me, just like, he doesn't say anything to me. I just go and I pull up his arm sleeve just a little bit so I can see his veins. He's like, what? He doesn't say anything. He probably wouldn't say, what are you doing? I think he'd just be cranky.
Yeah, I feel like he might very angrily pull his arms away and jolt out of class, but that's the Edward I know.
You just don't know him like I do, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, I don't. But she meets Mike in bio as well.
Boy Central.
Mike's a normal guy. He says words to her.
Well, he's blonde. We don't trust blonde men.
Yeah, that's so fair.
Thank you. So Mike walks her to the next class. They bond over, hey, what the heck is up with that guy? Did you see what Edward Cullen was doing?
At home later, Charlie tells Bella about like the Cullens a little bit, and we don't get much. We get that, you know, the dad's the doctor.
Charlie's kind of like a Cullen dick rider for Carlisle.
Who wouldn't be? Carlisle's a hot doctor.
Exactly. He goes, my hands are tied. He's a hot doctor. What can I do?
But it is not without notice that Edward is just completely MIA from school for the next few days. Just like vanished, and nobody seems to like know or care where he went off to.
But Bella is really looking into this because the day before she did see Edward trying to switch biology classes.
Yeah.
Suck it up. Fight your urges.
Yikes.
Hey, Edward, if you haven't drank human blood for centuries. I haven't gotten fucked in 8 months, okay? You don't see me
kind of the same
clenching
thing.
My fists over here.
Your fists are so clenched right
They're
now.
so clenched right now.
But guys, Edward is back at school after his short jaunt away, and he walks into biology a new man, and he introduces himself to Bella finally, and he's kind of acting like it wasn't weird that he just didn't talk to her. He's like, haha, silly me. Hi. Hello, I should introduce myself.
Yeah, he's kind of studying Bella's frame because he just likes looking, I guess, at her frame, trying to figure out who she is. She's trying to figure him out. They go to touch the microscope at the same time, and electricity jolts when they touch. Ooh la la.
I don't think electricity can jolt, though, because he doesn't have flowing blood, so he's just...
I don't know, he's doing something. She also notes that his eyes aren't as black as they used to be. They used to be like coal, and now they're kind of an amber.
Oh.
Kind of a pretty amber color.
Amber color. And that's kind of that. There's more, I think, school jargon in between. I have about like 9 pages before I take my next note, which is when it's super icy the next day at school. Mm-hmm. And Bella's truck gets her there in one piece. Super great. She got chains on her wheels that her dad put on there for her.
Very nice.
But Bella walking through the parking lot, as she does to go to school, a rogue car slips on the ice and is careening towards her.
So fast. It's going so fast, and it's going to hit her. Fast. And she holds her hands up. She closes her eyes because she knows that death is near. And in steps Edward to throw hands out to stop the car.
Yeah, and chaos obviously ensues because there's a huge dent in this car now. Bella is not dead. Edward's like, are you all right? That was crazy. And she's like, but you were over on the other side of the parking lot. And he's like, no, I wasn't. I was right next to you the whole time. So he's gaslighting her.
Oh, God, I love it. I love when boys put ideas in my head. I don't have any there anyways. So she pushes back, and he's not expecting this. She, like, digs her heels in. She's like, no, I saw you across the parking lot. And the ambulance is coming up, and he's just like, please, no, I wasn't. Because he's not used to not having influence on people. I mean,
no.
I also love that he put his family in danger of, like, outing their secret just because he figured out she just told him about, like, her mom the day before. And he was like, I'm obsessed. Okay, I'm gagged.
He's like, oh, a girl with a mom? Sign me up.
A girl with a mom? I haven't met one of those yet in Forks.
Here's the thing, like, as I've finished this entire book, Edward's, like, doesn't really, like, ever say what draws him to Bella. He's just like, and I'm infatuated and obsessed with you. He doesn't really say anything he likes about her ever, other than that she's kind of helpless, you know?
I know, yeah. I mean,
he's never like, I really like that, like, you know, he doesn't like that she's smart or that she's pretty. He doesn't say things like that to her. He doesn't compliment her ever.
It really is just that, I mean, she was one of the first Manic Pixie Dream Girls when you think about it. It is just that he can't figure her out. Yeah. And unlike men with most women, like it doesn't work. Men can't figure me out and they get annoyed.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Women can't figure me out and they fear me. I'm just too damn powerful, I guess.
Yeah, you're too damn powerful. And speaking of too damn powerful, they gotta get Bella to the hospital to make sure she's okay. Yeah. And who's too powerful is Dr. Hot Meggie Cullen. Mr. Hot-ass doctor over here.
I do love... Bella is really embarrassed because she has to be transported in a neck brace, and Edward isn't on a stretcher. He is just strolling around like he's big man on campus in this hospital.
Yeah, he's twirling his, like, master key to all the rooms in the hospital, whistling a little ditty.
Like a college freshman back at their high school.
Old stomping grounds. But Bella continues to confront Edward on how he saved her, and he is not letting up. So there's that too.
No, she's like, I saw you lift a van. And he's like, Bella, you're crazy. And she's all like, why'd you even bother saving me? You don't like me. And he goes, I don't know.
Valid response. I don't know why I saved you. I don't like you that much.
And I just like, I really feel for him here because you can tell in this moment that he is like so in love. Like he's holding back a crush. He doesn't want to admit that he cares whether she lives or dies. Haven't we all had a boy like that in our life?
Next part of the book.
We're so back.
Bella, that night, starts dreaming about Edward. Uh-oh, horny alert.
Horny
but
alert.
Nothing really happens in these dreams. I feel like I'd like these books better if they, like, were horny, but they're not. There's nothing horny about them.
No, yeah, it's kind of just like Edward standing in the woods and Bella seeing him, but he's way far out of reach. Yeah. And it's like, well, why doesn't he at least take off his pants?
Exactly. Get your dick out. Take your shirt off. Show us your abs.
What's better than
lick her neck or something? I don't know.
Yeah, come on. Where's the neck licking?
Where's literally anything? Grab her boobs. I don't know. I guess spitball in here.
I guess Stephanie Meyer's just more about the subtle horniness of it all, which is building it up because she's Catholic, and
which is him brooding and breathing heavily and clenching his fists.
The next day, Jessica asks Bella if she can ask Mike to the girls' dance, and Bella's really confused. She doesn't get why Jessica's asking. She's like, yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't want to go with him. I'm not going to ask.
And then doesn't Mike straight up ask Bella to go to the dance, and she's like, no.
Yeah, Mike asked her why she hasn't asked him yet in biology. Bold. And Bella is trying to get him to go with Jessica because she doesn't want...
Jessica likes Mike.
Yeah, and also you don't want to come between a friend who clearly likes a guy.
And who has done but a 180 is Edward, who is in biology this class as well. And he's like, it is better if you ignore me. And I imagine him swinging a cape if he had one, like a little Dracula, because boy, is he being a little broody boy right now.
I like that. He can have a cape, and he can also have one of those pocket watches that he's checking periodically. He's like, when is biology over? He just gets more of a time every single biology class.
Edward dramatically walking through the school hallways with his Dracula cape is such a funny image to me.
Hey, I mean, if someone's got to. And it billows. It has a really long train.
Oh, yeah. And then he reacts to things with his, like, vampire hiss sometimes. Like,
stop. I'm obsessed. As if this day isn't already bad, Eric and Tyler, who I would like to reiterate, we don't know Tyler yet. Tyler is the guy who almost hit her with his car, asks Bella if she'll ask him to the girls' dance. And she's like, no, it is girls' choice. I'm sorry, if I almost hit someone with my car, I don't think I would try to date them.
Hey, you ever fall in love with someone the moment you don't hit them with your car?
All the time.
Yeah, you know how you almost murdered someone in cold blood and then you didn't? So you're like, wait a minute, are we in love now?
Like, at that point, I'd be like, are you pitying me? Is it a pity thing? It would fuck with my head.
Yeah, I'd be like, let's not do this right now. Let's talk in 3 months and see where we're at. But Bella has now made up a lie to tell these many suitors. She's really Bachelorette right now, Bachelorette Nation right now. But she has lied and said she has to go to Seattle that day because she has to run some errands. And this is a lie that she's made up. But now she's like convincing herself that she wants to go to Seattle. And who has butt done another 180 is Edward, who's now asking her if he can drive her to Seattle because women shouldn't be able to drive themselves, I guess.
He's being nice again. His eyes are golden. She does something, which is ask him if he has a personality disorder, which did make me laugh out loud.
But honestly, like, fair ask. Fair ask.
I'd be fucking confused. I would be like, you have to be bipolar. I don't know what's going on.
What's insane is he's like, may I drive you to Seattle? It might be hard for your truck to get there. Also, you should stay away from me. I'm a horrible person.
Yes, like, exactly. So he asked her about Seattle. She goes, okay. And then he goes, I mean, it's not like I don't want to be friends. I just think it'd be smarter if we weren't. I'd be like, you just asked about driving me to Seattle.
Literally, like, yeah, I'd be like, honestly, if somebody told me multiple times that you should stay away from me, I'd be like, you're literally insane and I'm going to stay away from you. Like, I can't play this game of like, I have to constantly reassure you that we should be friends. That's weird.
I mean, it's easy for Laura and I to say this now because I can see in my notes when he said that I don't want to be friends, it'd just be smarter if we weren't, that I did start smiling on the bus. I wrote down that I am smiling on the bus. Oh, because he said I can't stay away from you anymore. Ladies, level with me, okay?
Because, like, my notes are very, like, I put, like, an oh my god eye roll after mine. That's so funny.
No, I wrote I'm smiling on the bus.
And I wrote, oh my god, like, as if, basically. But who's but done another 180 on his venture for friendship is Edward, who's inviting Bella to sit at him with lunch.
Yes, he is like, fuck it, mask off. He doesn't care anymore. Balls in her court. Despite him hiding the truth from her, I guess.
This scene is insane to me.
Okay, what'd you write down? Because I have another.
Because note. He's like, I'm gonna do what I want, but I'm also a bad friend. And then he's like, well, Bella, you should figure out, like, guess what's up with me since I saved you yesterday. Like, it is so chaotic to go from to all of these things. So, you should sit with me at lunch, and I'm going to do what I want and be friends with you, but just so you know, I'm a bad friend, and also, how do you think I saved you yesterday?
I hate that we're having this conversation, because unfortunately, I think the closest I can get to dating Edward Cullen is dating a guy who does street magic. Because the energy you were just giving me, I'm like, that's a guy who does street magic.
But unfortunately, a guy who does street magic will have more personality than Edward Cullen, so kind of a win.
I wrote here, I really liked their interaction at lunch because they've got pent-up rage and sexual chemistry flowing. I wrote, I'm blushing.
Where is the sexual chemistry, Meggie? Please.
I just think he was being mysterious. He was like, I'm going to hell anyways. And she was like, what does this mean? What does it mean?
And he was like, you tell me what it means. I'm never going to answer a single question.
I love 20 questions. I'm historically horrible at it.
Well, this book is basically their entire relationship is built off of games of 20 questions. So I guess that's good for you.
The budding couple has their first moment of obstacles when they go to biology class and it's figure out your blood type day. Because, you remember, figure out your blood type day.
Yeah. We all did that experiment. That's a normal experiment you do in biology, right?
Exactly, yeah. And Bella doesn't want to be in this class because she is going to get queasy. So Mike's going to walk her to the nurse when she is intercepted by Edward. Here he comes. He's going to just show up, toss her in his arms. Walk her to the nurse.
He's like, Edward is acting like this is like more horrible than the accident that happened yesterday. He's like, Mike, I'll take her. You better get back to class. You don't want to miss the experiment in biology. Don't worry, I've got it from here. Like Edward's Mr. Save the Day, and like Bella basically just almost fainted because of blood. Like, she'll be fine, buddy.
He really is just throwing her around like a rag doll.
Yeah. He's like, quick, you can't walk. Let me carry you.
Oh, God.
Come on.
He's just carrying her everywhere. Like the princess she is, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I go, white goes. But Bella, later, to console Mike about not taking him to the dance, says she'll go to the beach with everybody that weekend, so that's fun, right?
Yes. So Bella heads to La Push with her human friends. Aw, boo. Aww. We hate when she hangs out with humans.
Edward sure does.
I know. And she's hiking around before they're going to have a night fire on the beach. And she meets...
Fire on the beach.
Fire on the beach. She meets some of the boys from the reservoir. Chief among them, Jacob Black.
And she ends up meeting Jacob Black, who is obviously the person who has the truck of his dad.
Yeah, they grew up together.
So they start to kind of talk and catch up. And Jacob just, like, drops, like, oh, the Cullens, they're not allowed here on the reservation. Which leads to them just kind of walking and talking about the werewolf versus vampire lore of Forks, Washington. Mm-hmm. And Jacob, the little historian, is going on for pages of all of the ins and outs of this centuries-long battle.
Mm-hmm. He says, well, my great-great-grandfather, he drew up this treaty. He wanted to keep the cold ones off of our lands. You see, we are werewolves. Just point blank. Well, he doesn't say that. He implies, he's like, all right, my kind, they're werewolves. They're the warm ones. And he implies the Cullens have lived here forever. But as we know, they mentioned earlier, they moved from Alaska and they move around every 4 years because they're obsessed with being in high school. They have lived here forever. They're vampires. And that's just kind of it, is that werewolves and vampires live in harmony.
And here's my issue with this scene. Not only is we're just getting a bunch of exposition, like 125 pages into the book, but Bella also has, like, no reaction to it. She's just like a stone wall hearing, like, all of this. Like, she's not thinking, like, oh, that's so funny, like, vampires and werewolves aren't real. Or she's not even thinking, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they were? She's having no reaction. And I think that's one of my big issues with this book, is Bella has such small reactions or no reaction to these, like, things that could really, like, drive her character and drive the plot forward. But no! I
don't know. Sometimes people tell me really important things at work, and I also kind of space off.
Yeah,
so I empathize.
But Meggie, your life isn't a book. I'm sorry.
That is true. I think if people were telling me that monsters were real, I might pay a little bit more attention. But I would also kind of treat it like a Magic Treehouse story. I'd be like, huh.
Right? I mean,
that's kind of, I guess that's interesting.
Again, Meggie, that's still a reaction. Bella's just kind of like, that's okay.
I would love a line that's like, huh, Bella reacted. I didn't think about that. And then no. That was it.
Bella just having the driest, like, huh, that's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Just that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
So she does go home later that night, and she does have a nightmare about Edward, and she's like, maybe I should actually give this some thought. Maybe I should go to Google.
Because in the dream, Edward's a vampire and Jacob's there, and he's a werewolf. So now Bella's like, I have to search the internet for more exposition.
And get this is her takeaway, is that vampires are a farce to explain high mortality rates of children and give men an excuse to cheat.
Wow, Stephanie Meyer, tell us how you really feel.
Even speaking that out, I was like, by the end of the sentence, I'll know how it connects. And then I said all of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
No, yeah, I really skipped over this because, again, it was pages of Ella searching the internet about vampires, and we didn't get much from it.
And it's crazy. You know how you'll put in symptoms, and you're like, tummy hurts, and the Google will be like, go get Advil, and you're like, that makes sense. Bella here, she sees beauty, pale skin, eyes that shift color. She doesn't even consider it a possibility that they could be vampire.
Yeah, she does. She also, like, here's my thing. Like, Bella still doesn't have a reaction. She doesn't, like, try to be like, no, I'm being silly. There's no such thing as vampires. And she also doesn't even entertain the idea that there could. She's just like, oh, that was an internet search.
She decides, whatever. If he's a vampire, I'm in too deep. I'm going to continue hanging out with him despite only barely knowing him.
She's like, I need to relax my hands after typing on the keyboard so much. I'm going to go wander around the woods now. So she goes and does that.
Yeah, she just wanders around the woods. I kind of like to imagine her having 15 vampire tabs open, and then she just switches to Sims. She just starts playing Sims.
Yeah, like, honestly, Bella, no personality, Swan, am I right?
Yeah, the next day at school, Mike asks Bella out at school just to go out, and she says no, it would hurt Jessica's feelings. And
Bella is a good friend, I will say that. Bella's a really good friend to Jess and the other girl.
She is, and she gets rewarded. Jessica invites her to go dress shopping the next night with Bella because it's a girls' night out, and she needs a girls' night out. Damn it, she's thinking about Edward too much, but not the right things. She's not thinking about being a vampire.
No. She's just thinking about, like, he clenched his fists in bio again and was acting strange. How weird. But the girls decide to go do, like, one more something at this, like, town that they go to. And Bella's like, I'll meet up with you guys at dinner. I'm gonna go look for a bookstore because I'm a book girl.
She's a bookworm.
And Bella's so bad at directions that she gets lost looking for the bookstore.
And she's walking around. She notices 2 guys following her and 2 other guys. And it's too late. She realizes she's getting herded into a corner.
Yeah.
And just as she's about to not have anywhere that she can go in Port Angeles, a silver Volvo appears out of nowhere and tells her to get in the car. And then I wrote, sorry, I am too horny to read this. I'm giggling. He's so mad.
See, my issue here is, like, man, he's driving a Volvo and we're supposed to be like, whoa, that's cool. Like, that's not a cool car. Like, he couldn't have been driving anything more interesting.
This is when I got so excited. I went into the bar to meet up with my friend, and I just ran up to her, and I sat my little ass down, and I said, you'll never guess what Edward Cullen just said. He said, sometimes I can't control my anger.
That's so horrible. He's an awful person. Well, he's not a person. He's an awful vampire.
We're so close with horrible. Change it to horny. Change it to horny right now.
No. Meggie, people who can't control their anger need to go to therapy.
No.
And my favorite thing is he, like, rescues her and he's like, get in my Volvo. I'll chase these guys away.
Yeah.
And then she gets in the Volvo and he's like, I'm so angry. Please calm me down. As if she wasn't the one being chased by a group of men in a town she's unfamiliar with.
He's just
he's not even asking her if she's okay. He's like, oh my God, boy, am I riled up. I am so angry watching you have your life threatened and get chased. You remove yourself from your situation, Bella. You calm me down. I'm a baby.
I just think he was, like, really scared about what those boys were gonna do to her, and he just showed up like a white knight. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like Bella wasn't scared either. She doesn't get to be scared. She has to calm Edward down.
She has to calm him down, but again, whatever Bella does, she gets rewarded because now they're gonna go to dinner.
Yeah.
So Edward is going to just watch her eat. He's not going to eat.
He force feeds her like 6 Coca-Colas. He
God.
keeps going, keep drinking.
He really does. The waitress comes over and he goes, can I have 2 Coca-Colas? And she drinks so much of hers, and then he just keeps pushing his in front of her.
And then, like, the waitress comes back, it's like, refills now.
I love a man who pushes Coca-Cola on me.
Hey, share a Coke with someone you love this holiday season, folks.
So, exactly. Hey, share. Every season is Coke season. Share a Coke with someone you love.
Thank you, season.
Angela and Jessica aren't there. They already got dinner. They headed home. Edward was like, I'll just drive her home. And I did write that someone really cute sat next to me on the train. And I ruined it by pulling out Twilight, but then they started whistling. So we're going to go back to this.
So what I wrote down is Edward's choice of conversation at dinner was him being like, do you want to know how I followed you here?
Yeah, and
this is so funny and so bad.
He says he followed her to Port Angeles to keep tabs on her because she's always getting in trouble. And yeah, he can read minds.
And he can track her scent. And then she's just cool with it. She's not like, oh, that's not real, or like, oh, you're being weird. She's just like, okay, I'll eat my ravioli. Yum, yum, yum.
She is a little concerned because she's like, why can't he read my mind? And he's like, I'm telling you, I read minds. And that's your concern?
Yeah. She's like, well, I want to tell you what Jacob told me about the vampires.
I offer a counter. Can he not read her mind because she has no thoughts?
Maybe. I mean, Bella's thoughts usually like link like Laurel on like oh, that's something I don't know how to do, or like, oh, I'm too clumsy.
I feel like her thoughts would always be like, big staircase coming up, be careful, big staircase, there's so many stairs, oh my god.
No, Meggie, her thoughts are this, whoa, whoa.
Oh, because she's already falling.
Yeah.
Okay, so he definitely can't read hers, whether that's because she has no thoughts or because she's special.
Stephanie Meyer hasn't confirmed. We don't know.
We don't know. We'll reach out. We'll let you guys know. And he tells her, obviously, that he found her because he was reading Jessica's minds, and then he was searching through people's until he found the guys who were following her, and he mentions he wouldn't have left them alive, which Bella right over her head.
Yeah. Oh my god. No, and then after, like, Bella's like, so tell me, like, Jacob told me this thing about vampires, and he goes, yeah, that's true. And she doesn't react again. She just follows up with more questions like she's interviewing him.
She says it doesn't matter, specifically.
And as if she's never heard, like, it's almost as if Bella's never heard of what a vampire is. She's like, oh,
yeah,
that doesn't matter. It's almost as if Bella, like, Edward said, like, oh, yeah, like, I usually wear flannels. Is that okay? And she goes, yeah, that's fine. Flannels are practical clothing.
She asks, how long have you been 17? That's where we get this question. He says, a while. They go into the details of his diet, which is mostly animals, but he says being alone with her is dangerous.
And she's just, again, no reaction, people. She is just like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. Speak your truth, Edward.
He says he's anxious to be away from her. He does get mad when she says this back, which is a double standard. I wrote double standard.
Yeah.
What's he expecting?
And this is happening while he's driving her home now. And he's, again, like, tormenting her because, you know, of course, she just got herself into a bad situation because that's all girls know how to do. And then Bella lays on a perfect line, which is like, well, I just fall down a lot when I run. As if any woman has ever said that in the history of ever. If you are falling down a lot when you run, you should go to a neuroscientist and get your brain investigated. That is not okay.
Yeah, I can't. Is she not even running in a straight line? I kind of imagine her legs just going every which way and then she falls.
Is she running the mile in gym class and every 10 paces she's just falling over herself?
Maybe it's not the mind thing. Maybe it's not that he can read minds. Maybe it's just he's so concerned. It's like a social experiment. He's like, why can't this woman move?
Yeah, I would love if this was like a, like, She's All That sort of thing. And his, like, vampire siblings are like, no, dude, you can't make this girl less clumsy or something.
He's like, I can fix her. I can do it. They make a bet. They're like, I bet you can't make her run without falling by the time homecoming comes around.
I bet you can't make her a track star. That's a book I'd read.
There you go. We'll rewrite Twilight.
And then they fall in love. Are you kidding me?
There we go. So when she does get home from him driving her home,
he drops her off and he goes, oh, by the way, don't go into the woods alone.
And then he begs.
And she's just like, bye, Edward. She's more concerned that her dad will have seen Edward. And she's like, what would he possibly say? And, like, not like, man, I'm talking to a real life vampire. That's crazy.
I just feel like she has hot goggles on. When someone looks like a Greek statue, I don't think I would hear the words they're saying either. Anything dangerous, I'd be like...
Yeah, they're like, I actually have killed people before. And you're like, oh, so misunderstood. You're so hot.
I'd be like, put the soul back in him so I can suck it out again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Isn't that
would
poetry?
do that.
I know, I would. At 17, I would be so bold. No, I wouldn't.
But the big thing Bella takes away from this is that she is in love with Edward now.
We get the iconic quote about 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how potent that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him.
Yeah. Wow.
I took the time to write it all out again.
Perfect, because I just wrote the about 3 things quote happens here, and I was like, Meggie's going to write this down and deliver it perfectly on the podcast.
I love it.
Literally insane to me, though, that she spends an entire evening learning about this vampire, and it's just like, I know he's a vampire. I know that he wants to kill me, kind of. And also, I'm in love with him.
Well, I guess true love happens at 17.
Well, he's like 400, Meggie, so we can't take that away from him.
For her, I mean, you know.
Yeah. I also love geriatric romances between seniors and minors.
Yeah. Well, in the supernatural realm, who knows how age works.
She's a human. So next day, Edward's gonna pick Bella up for school because that's a thing he does now.
And he reads Jessica's mind that she's gonna ask if Edward and Bella are dating now, to which he tells Bella to say yes. Okay.
And also, Bella at no point says, hey, stop reading my friends' minds. I'm not okay with that, which I would have really enjoyed personally.
That is true. Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, Edward, that's kind of a violation of their privacy and my privacy. You should not do that to the people I care about.
I think it's like if they had an opinion on us or me, then yes. But if I told them something in secret, I'd be like, please, can you not? Actually?
Yeah. Because here's what happens is Edward listens in on this conversation and then scolds her about it at lunch. He's like, I don't like what you told Jess.
Yeah, she tells Jessica he's great. They haven't kissed yet. And Bella is pretty sure she likes him more than he likes her. And at lunch, he's a bit irritated because he doesn't believe that.
Yeah. And it's... yeah, like the conversation is kind of weird because it's like him scolding her and it's not like she apologizes. It's not like he apologizes. He's just like, you're in the wrong, Bella. And she's like, okay.
They head to biology where they watch a movie in the dark in class and the electricity is flowing again.
Don't even hold hands.
I know.
Put a hand on a thigh. Come on.
He does ask if she is dead set on going to Seattle this weekend. He was like, I was thinking we could just hang outside. I could show you something. And she's like, well, I'll do whatever you say, whenever you say. So, yeah, I guess.
Perfect. Yeah. And as she is getting driven home after school, Jacob Black and his father are waiting on the doorstep. And Edward's like, well, don't tell him about me, I guess. So...
yes, Billy Black definitely clocks that she is with Edward because he goes pretty rigid when Edward pulls up. On the drive home, too, Bella does ask if she can watch Edward hunt, and he goes, no, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Bella, sociopath, wants to watch him literally murder an animal. Slaughter an animal in cold blood and eat it with his two little hands.
She just wants to love him and see his soul for what it is.
Oh, God. Well, next day, school, Edward's gonna pick Bella up again because that's what he does now.
They do. They chat about how his family's kind of annoyed. He's entertaining the idea of being with her, but he does admit that he just finds her fascinating because she's not like anyone he's ever known before. Yeah.
Yeah, we also learned that Alice is the only supportive sibling and his other siblings will come around. So that's a whole thing too.
So this next morning when they are heading to the trail to hike because Edward doesn't want to go to Seattle, he's like, fuck Seattle, we're going to the meadow. They go on this like hike to this one opening in the meadow that he really likes so he can show her the old razzle dazzle. And this is when this is his sparkling like a diamond moment.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Ugh. I said she's outlining his diamond skin with her hand, which is so hot.
Yeah, I really skimmed this because I was like, this is stupid.
She goes in to kiss him. Don't worry, I didn't. And that's when he starts with his, as if you could outrun me.
Yeah, he sprints away from her, almost kissing him, by the way. He freaks out.
Everything about me, my face, my scent brings you in. I was designed that way. But she's like, I'm not afraid. You're just baby girl, Edward. He said, you should be, though. I've never wanted to suck someone's blood as badly as I want to yours. You're like my own heroine.
And Bella agrees with that. Bella agrees that she is his heroine.
She goes, it can't be that bad. And he goes, listen, I literally drove to Alaska the day after meeting you. I was so convinced I was going to kill you. But he says he couldn't live with himself if he hurt her actually. And then that's where it goes 0 to 100. All of a sudden, he says, you're the most important thing to me now. And, like, I also would be rationalizing away this guy wanting to kill me if he said I was the most important thing to him.
It's also very important to note here that he describes in detail how his Emmett ate a human once because he was so overcome with his own urges. And so now Edward's saying, I was so overcome with my urges that I almost ate you like because you're a human. Insane. Absolutely insane. And then they declare their love for each other.
Exactly. They're just sitting in the field. They're tracing each other with their hands, saying, so the lion fell in love with the lamb, and it's sweet and it's tender.
It's not. It's creepy as fuck. It is. is horrible. It is not something to want.
I think this was a really good book for young women everywhere to read.
Yeah, this really paved the way for modern day feminism.
It starts getting laid out. So this is when he says, come on, instead of hold on tight, spider monkey, it's come on, little coward in the book, which I think is very funny. He says, jump on my back.
Yeah, that's a way better line.
Isn't it so funny?
It is. It's way better. I don't know why they did Spider Monkey.
I don't either. But they're rootin' and scootin'. They're going through the woods so fast. She's woozy. She's like, don't do that again. And he says, stay very still. I want to try something. And then they start kissing.
But it's like, then why didn't you just kiss her earlier, dude? You had a chance, and then you had to go on and on about how strong and fast you are.
Exactly. He really wanted to seal the deal. He wanted to be like, listen, I know you want me, but do you really want me? You want to see some more?
Hold that thought. I have to show you how strong and fast I am first, and then we can kiss.
I love it. It's like this generation's version of ghosting, except the opposite. It's whatever that is.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Peacocking. That was in the 2000s.
Bombing, if you will.
Yeah.
Stalking, love bombing. There's lots of words for it.
I really love, before I share my first kiss with someone, they let me know so many times that they could kill me if they wanted to.
Yeah, I find all romance thrives with just the undertones and explicit mentioning of violence towards me constantly, you know?
I actually, I can't stop smiling. I know that it's bad. I know it's bad.
Meggie, it's really bad.
But I'm obsessed. This is the cultural reset my brain needs, I think.
Yeah. We needed to go back to 2008 to really reset everything.
Exactly. I had to, this is me just getting into my roots.
And listeners, we are going to stop for part 1 of Twilight here with the kiss. Really great place for us to end. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, can we even do canceled character this season, Meggie? It doesn't make sense. I feel like it's always going to be Edward, you know?
Why? I was just going to say, why? I know you're going to cancel Edward, and I don't know why you would. He's a perfectly good boyfriend.
Well, Meggie, who would you cancel that isn't Edward?
Charlie, for trying to keep Bella away from...
He's not! Charlie doesn't even know about Edward at this point, Meggie.
Okay, fine. Billy Black for being a wet blanket, then.
Okay.
I mean, I guess he did give her a car. That was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. Maybe Mike, because he's too thirsty.
Oh, wait. I'm going to cancel... It's going to be so hard for me to cancel Edward. Maybe I will in the second book, but you're not going to get me to cancel Edward.
No, I'm going to try and find other people to cancel that aren't Edward.
I will cancel Tyler for for almost running her over and then asking her to the
dance. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll definitely allow Tyler getting canceled for having bad wheels on his car.
Steely wheelie automobile.
That's so funny.
And who are you going to cancel? Are you going to cancel Edward?
Oh, I was going to agree with you with Tyler because I feel like it's too easy to cancel Edward.
What do you mean too easy?
Well, because it's like, again, Meggie, he's 400 years old. He's
Charming.
In love with a child, and he's also threatening to kill her multiple times, which is kind of a red flag for me. I know I'm the problem when I say that. But that's probably why I would make an argument for canceling
that's just the boy you meet at 19. You know?
She's not 19. She's a junior in high school.
She's getting her lore too early, way too early.
Yeah. She barely has her license.
And that little discussion brings us to our top 5. We're going to go with top 5 ways you should get a vampire, or you would get a vampire you're interested in's attention. This is really important to our 8th grade listeners out there. I know that you're wondering. You're like, how do I get this vampire's attention?
Well, and it's also for Bella because she could have done way better. She was not doing enough, in my opinion, to get Edward to go swoony goony over her.
You're so right.
Yeah.
You want to start because it's yours?
Oh, I'll start. Yeah. So number 5, would have loved if Bella walked into Bio one day wearing a complete Victorian, historical accurate dress, pinned up, corseted down. Edward would have been so rock hard for that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you dress like Keira Knightley in Pirates of the Caribbean, regardless, I think you would get my attention.
Done for it. He'd be like, oh my god, her ankles and her wrists aren't showing. Sign me the fuck up.
Yeah. Number 4, I was trying to think of a universal thing that could last throughout many different decades and centuries. I think she should learn a lot about different diseases through time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those never go. Black Plague. Spanish flu, scarlet fever.
Yeah. I'm sure Edward would find something to like about her if she had like extensive knowledge. He'd be like, wow, I really love your brain.
I'm sure. Yeah, knowing history.
Not just like, I love how Elpis and how you are and how I could kill you. Which is, again, my impression of what Edward likes about Bella is the fact that he could murder her in cold blood.
He's so thoughtful.
Which brings us to number 3. Would be a completely different book if you used cross-country joining that team to impress this vampire, because then maybe you would be stronger than him and be able to outrun him, or you would at least die trying.
You know that Bella can't run a 7-minute mile. She just trips too much. She adds 2 minutes to her time every time she trips.
She's so helpless.
She's
what
up
are we
there.
gonna do with her?
She runs a half-hour mile.
Yikes. That's just a walk, Meg.
I don't know. She's trying her best, though. Number 2, this is easy. Go into the woods when he says don't. You should do a lot of things that boys don't like.
Yeah, do everything Edward's told you not to do, because he's very commanding with what he wants you to do and not do, so...
Get into ventriloquist dolls. I don't think he'd like that, which might mean he loves it.
Yeah. And then number 1, Meggie and I really mind melded on this one, because this is the first one we came up with, and we were like, this is the obvious one, is that you should free bleed during your period, because hello, he's a vampire.
Have you ever read...
You got blood coming out of every hole.
Exactly.
Once a month.
Have you ever read Hansel and Gretel? You know how they follow the breadcrumbs? Baby, that blood is your breadcrumbs.
You gonna Hansel and Gretel him to your candy castle, which is your pussy.
Exactly, and you're the wicked witch of the wussy. That's witch pussy.
I wonder how many people just like stopped the podcast with that.
No.
They're like, and we're done with this episode.
I want them to jump in right there and not
know. They're like, I hope that there's some people that were like, oh, whoa, that was a lot. And I hope there were some people that were like 5 stars.
It's like when you share an account with your family on Netflix and one of you has already watched the episode. I want their mom to jump in at that point.
I also just can only hope that we get to read the transcript of our number 1 on this top 5 one day, because I was delighted by it.
I was too. And speaking of things that delight us, that might delight you, follow us online. I think that was an okay segue.
Yeah.
We are on Twitter and TikTok at Yaoi Reddit. We are on Instagram at Meggie_and_Laura.
And we are on your ears for this entire 13th season, which will be all of the Twilight books. And next week will be part 2, so we can finish out Twilight before going to New Moon.
I'm so excited. I'm already done with New Moon.
Oh my god, I need to catch up. This is like Maggie, this is I think the first in 13 seasons that I think you've been vastly ahead of me on.
I had to stop. I was so ahead, I read 2 other books in between because I'm like going way too fast.
That's so funny. I literally have to tell like Nick all the time. I'm like, oh, I have to read just 50 pages and then I can be like on track.
I read the first book in 5 days.
I literally like have to force myself to pick it up. That's so funny that we are having just the opposite reaction.
I'm having the best time of my life. All right.
All right, bye listeners. Love you.
Bye. Love you.